Okay, think about this for a second. You get a really important document, right? Maybe a contract, could be a bank statement, or even like a scanned ID someone sent you.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it on your screen, seems okay. You probably trust it, don't you?
Most people would, yeah.
But what if?
Mhm.
What if someone, in just a few minutes, with a few clicks, changed something? Just tweaked a number, altered a sentence, maybe even swapped out a whole page?
And you wouldn't see a thing, no smudge, no different font, nothing.
Exactly. No visible trace. It sounds kind of dramatic, but it's a real issue, and it's growing.
It really is.
So that invisible threat, that's what we're really digging into today. We've been looking at this source, Detecting Document Tampering and Business Fraud Prevention by T.J. Newberry.
Right, and it focuses specifically on the digital stuff. PDFs, scanned images, the files we use every day.
Our mission here is to sort of unpack this whole problem of digital document tampering and, more importantly, figure out how you can actually spot it, how you can prevent it.
And the core issue, like the source points out, is that digital files are just, well, they're easy to change silently.
Unlike old school paper.
Exactly. With paper, you might spot an erasure mark, maybe different ink, but digital. Modern tools make it seamless. Someone could alter a file in minutes.
And just looking at it, a manual check isn't going to catch it.
Nope. Not reliably anyway.
So that's our goal for you in this deep dive. We want to give you a really clear picture of what this tampering actually is.
Why businesses are increasingly worried about it.
And the tech behind how you actually detect it. Basically a shortcut to getting up to speed on this. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So first things first, when we say document tampering in this digital world, what are we actually talking about?
Well, according to the source, it's basically any unauthorized change to a digital file after it was supposed to be finalized.
After it was created and sort of locked in.
Yeah, exactly. Changing something that shouldn't be changed anymore.
And the ways this happens, well, some are surprisingly simple but really damaging, like just editing text or numbers in a PDF.
Oh, yeah. Changing a salary on a payslip scan, maybe? Or altering the amount due on an invoice after it's been issued?
Wow. Or messing with scanned images, like adding a signature that wasn't originally there.
Definitely. Or changing a date stamp on something you received, trying to backdate it.
And it mentions deleting or replacing whole pages, too, even in a long document.
Right, without messing up the visible page numbers, so you wouldn't necessarily notice a gap.
Sneaky. And then there's the hidden stuff, the metadata.
Uh-huh. That's things like, when the file was created, who created it, what software was used.
And changing that can hide where the document really came from or what's been done to it.
Exactly. It obscures the audit trail, basically.
And the source even mentions creating completely fake documents, but using real templates or logos to make them look legit.
Yeah, the really sophisticated end of the scale, forged documents that look almost perfect.
So the key thing here, and this really stood out to me, is that these changes leave no visible clues.
Right. That's the critical point. Just looking at it on a screen, it's fundamentally unreliable for catching this stuff.
It's so different from paper.
Totally different. And that's why detection isn't just, a nice to have. It's becoming absolutely essential.
Because this kind of fraud is really taking off.
It's escalating across pretty much all industries.
And the risks for businesses, if they accidentally accept or use a fake document, they're pretty big, aren't they?
Oh, substantial. You've got direct financial loss, for starters.
Like approving a loan based on faked income, or signing a lease with someone using doctored financials.
Exactly. Or awarding a contract based on, say, a supplier's falsified credentials. Real money lost.
And beyond the money, there's legal trouble, too.
Huge legal liability. If a business processes or acts on a tampered document, they could face lawsuits, regulatory action.
Fines and penalties.
Yep. Which ties into compliance, another massive area.
Right, things like AML, anti-money laundering rules.
Uh-huh. Or KYC, Know Your Customer, GDPR for data privacy, various ISO standards.
All these rules often require verifying information, identities, financials.
And if you're basing those checks on tampered documents, you're automatically non-compliant.
Which can lead to serious trouble.
Absolutely. And it messes up operations, too. Imagine a fake invoice getting into your payment system.
Or onboarding a new employee based on fake qualifications.
Exactly. It creates errors, delays, just general chaos in critical processes.
And, if word gets out that a company got duped by fraud, the reputation damage can be brutal.
Very hard to recover from that loss of trust.
The source specifically calls out certain industries as being high risk. Lending, financial services.
Makes sense. Real estate, property management,
Legal services, immigration processing.
insurance, underwriting, government agencies, basically anywhere that relies heavily on documentation being accurate and trustworthy.
So given how easy it is to fake these files digitally and how high the stakes are, just having someone glance over a document.
It's just not enough anymore, not with the sophistication of the fraud out there. You need tech that sees what the human eye misses.
Okay, so let's shift to the solutions. How does this advanced detection actually work? What are the methods?
Right. So we're talking about digital verification techniques. This goes way beyond just like password protecting a file or storing it securely.
Gotcha. So one method mentioned is digital signature verification. How does that help?
Okay, so a digital signature isn't just about who signed it. It's cryptographically tied to the content of the document at that exact moment of signing.
Meaning?
Meaning, if even one tiny thing changes in that document after it's been digitally signed,
The signature breaks.
instantly it becomes invalid. So it proves both the signer's identity and that the document hasn't been altered since they signed it.
Okay, that makes sense. Integrity check built in. But what if a document isn't digitally signed? Or you need to check it before a signature step?
Good question. That's where hash-based integrity checks come in. These are really powerful.
Hashbase sounds technical.
It is a bit, but the idea is simple. Think of any digital file, a PDF, an image, anything. You can run it through a special math formula. The source mentions SHA 256 as a common one.
Okay.
And this formula spits out a unique, short string of characters, like
Yep.
a code.
A unique code for that specific file.
Exactly. It's like a digital fingerprint. Every file gets its own unique fingerprint.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now, here's the really cool part. If you change anything in that original file, I mean literally, change one pixel in a photo, one letter in a Word doc,
Uh-huh.
the digital fingerprint, that hash value, changes completely. It's designed to be incredibly sensitive. Even the smallest tweak gives you a totally different hash.
Wow. So how do you use that for detection?
Simple. When the document is created or received and known to be good, you calculate its hash, its fingerprint, and you store that hash securely.
Right, the golden copy hash.
Exactly. Then, anytime later, if you need to check if that document is still the original, you calculate the hash again from the version you have now.
And you compare the new hash to the stored one.
Precisely. If they match. The document is unchanged. If they don't match.
Tampered with. Instantly obvious.
Instantly. You know for sure it's been modified, even if you can't see how. It's a super reliable way to detect any change.
That's clever. Now, the source talks about taking this a step further with blockchain timestamping.
Yeah.
They mentioned the VerifyFirst method specifically. How does blockchain fit in?
Okay, this adds another really strong layer of proof. It takes that hash, that digital fingerprint we just talked about,
Yeah.
and it essentially anchors it onto a public, immutable ledger. The source mentions using something like the Bitcoin blockchain.
Whoa, the Bitcoin blockchain. Why is that important?
Because blockchains, like Bitcoins, are designed to be decentralized and incredibly resistant to tampering once data is recorded on the chain.
It's basically permanent. Can't be changed or deleted.
Pretty much, yeah. It's cryptographically secured by the whole network. So by putting the document's hash on the blockchain, you create a permanent, unalterable timestamp.
So it proves not just if the document was changed since that time, but it proves that specific version existed at that specific time.
Exactly. You get rock-solid, verifiable proof of the document's existence and its exact state, its integrity, at a precise moment, recorded somewhere nobody can argue with or secretly modify later.
That sounds incredibly powerful, especially for legal purposes or proving things years down the line.
Absolutely invaluable in those cases. It proves existence and integrity over time.
Okay, and there's one more method mentioned. Forensic file analysis. What's that about?
This is more like the deep dive investigation. Specialized software looks beyond just the visible content. It examines the actual file structure.
What's it looking for?
Hidden inconsistencies. Things like image layers that might have been pasted in, metadata anomalies that don't make sense together, traces or artifacts left behind by editing software.
Stuff you'd never see just by opening the file, neverly.
Right, it's like digital forensics, looking for the hidden evidence of manipulation within the file's code and structure.
Like CSI for documents.
Kinda, yeah.
And it's important to note, right, that these tools aren't just for checking documents you receive. Businesses can use them on their own documents, too.
Absolutely. You can use hashing and timestamping, for instance, to prove the authenticity and integrity of contracts you issue or reports you generate. It builds trust on both sides of the transaction.
Right, proving your documents haven't been messed with either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if a business wants to implement this kind of protection, What should they look for in a tool or solution? What does the source recommend focusing on?
Well, it lists several key things. First, real-time verification is important. You need answers fast, right, when you process the document, not like batch checks hours later.
Makes sense? Needs to fit into the workflow.
And that blockchain-backed timestamping. The source presents that as a really crucial feature for that undeniable proof over time.
Okay. What else?
Full API integration. The system needs to connect smoothly with whatever software the business is already using, CRMs, document management systems, etc.
So it's seamless, not some separate clunky process.
Right. Also, tamper-proof audit trails. You need a secure, unchangeable log of every check performed, what the result was, when it happened. That's vital for compliance and accountability.
And the verification process itself needs to be legally sound.
Absolutely. Legal defensibility. You need to be confident that the verification results would stand up in court if needed.
Good point. Anything else?
And scalability. The solution needs to handle the number of documents the business deals with, whether it's 10 a day or 10,000.
Right. It has to grow with the business. And the source actually mentions VerifyFirst as a tool built specifically to meet these kinds of business requirements.
Yeah, it points to it as an example of a platform designed for this purpose, offering automated verification using these methods, including that blockchain timestamping component.
Okay. So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway from digging into this source?
I think the main thing is this. Yes, digital document tampering is a real and, frankly, kind of scary threat because it's invisible. But it's absolutely detectable. And if it's detectable, it's preventable.
Right. Using the right tools. Businesses can catch this stuff instantly. They can protect themselves from the financial hits, the legal problems, the reputation damage.
They can operate knowing the information they rely on is actually authentic and reliable. It's about restoring that trust in digital documents.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now?
Yeah, think about these methods we've discussed. You've got the digital fingerprints from hashing,
The super strong proof from blockchain timestamps.
the deep investigation of forensic analysis.
How might you think differently now about verifying a digital document you get? What stands out to you as the most powerful way to build that confidence, that trust in this digital world where maybe seeing isn't always believing on the screen?